Okay, part two of a 55 Chevy pickup chassis. Fairly modified. I've shown before underneath it, but basically it's I've pinched the front, I've pinched the rails in. All the cross members have pretty much been modified or gone. These two are the custom modified, custom cross members that I've made. But I'll start from the front, fully boxed. Now, all of these templates and fish plates and all the things that I've made, I've done them all by hand. I'd love to have a CNC machine, but I don't. So this is a flooring protector type cardboard you get from hardware stores. Very good for doing this sort of stuff. So you can make up all your the templates and things like that. See. Anyway, those plates have got a job soon, but starting off at the front because I had to pinch the chassis. To get proper wheel clearance with the stub axles and the wishbones on for the independent Jaguar front end. A lot of guys will widen the front end, so cut it there, but then that puts your rack and all that out and your Ackerman point for your steering. You can extend the rack and do all those sorts of things, but I wanted a bit more clearance, so I pinched the chassis, so I moved each chassis in slightly, probably about 30 mil each side, but I had to modify these, and as you can see, they used to hang out here like out-rigged or in or out, I forget now. But I've trimmed them, put them back like this, and I like to use the original rivets. They are TIG welded around the edges, but I like the look of the original rivets, so it gives it a factory look. I've left the leaf spring hangers in. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but I'm getting all nostalgic considering how modified this thing is. But anyway, I might work out something with them later. But the center line of the cross member, where it placed the wheel with the guard on, or the fender I should say, with the body and the fender on, the wheel was slightly back and it wasn't in a good position. It just didn't look right. So, plus I'm running 20-inch wheels, which are a fairly large wheel. So to get the cross member forward enough, the original cross member was in the way. So I basically cut the center out of that, which I had to anyway to pinch the frame in. But I've kept the webbing and the front part of the cross member on each side. I've made up this. It's a little bit boxy looking, but it'll work underneath. So the stabilizer bar will be able to run through there. That runs off your front end, your stab bar that's on the front, and that can run up in there. I've notched the frame for the front end to sit up in the chassis. The rack's mounted on the back, but obviously there's enough clearance. Fully I've fish plated, braced it, boxed the whole chassis front to back. And yeah, got it on the correct inclination. I did put it half or 1 degree further back, just for that little bit more stability with driving it, and just a little bit more caster, as they call it. But obviously you can still dial it in from the side there. Just run extra bracing, things like that, which ties the whole front end in. I've got some extra plates to put. I want to strengthen the towers, so I'll be just fitting them in. Running airbags. Jag front ends are really good for airbags, but it's all been plated underneath, and even the top, the sides, the whole lot of the Jag front end I've strengthened as well. Getting down to, this is the second cross member that was there. It just hung down too far for the 100 mil clearance that I'll need. The body on these sit 100 mil, there's the cab there, 100 mil below the chassis. So everything here that sits under the chassis is 100 mil. So basically, I haven't made it so it's going to lay frame, as they call it. I don't want it doing that. Lowest point's about 45 mil off the ground, and highest point, it'll look stock standard, basically going past or slightly, probably 200 mil. But that's with the accuair suspension system. But yeah, so I've got that cross member I've got to finish. I've got to plate the bottom, and then I'll make it all look original. I've got the gearbox cross member. The other thing was, because the front radiator support has been narrowed, I moved those brackets to dial it back into the original thing. These were slightly out, so I filled them and re-drilled them to put it in the correct position for the cab mount. And then when you get back up here to the rear of the cab mount, the chassis is in the original same width here. So in theory, it's like a 32 Ford. It's basically pulled in slightly on both sides. It all did equal. I did it all with a proper, well, there's the rack out the back, but a proper chassis jig. And then once all this was done, I've popped it out, and now I've just put it on 2 engine stands as a rotiserie to finish it all off. What else have we got? Yeah, I've got the gearbox cross member, made that up. It's basically solid mounted. It'll drop out quick. And here on the gearbox itself, I'm using the same bushes that I'm using for the 4-bar suspension system. There's the back. These are the back mounts. Oh, that's the other side. I could go around this side anyway. This is what happens when you don't have a film crew. So basically that sits there. That's for the 4 bars. Bolts up underneath and in that position. And then your 4 bars control the rear end. Airbag mounts here slightly in front of the spring, the rear axle diff center line. The bags sit in front of it, a little bit protected in there too, but I couldn't run them on the back because I've got a Watts link that I've got that runs off the rear axle. You might be wondering what they are.